Nobody is going to save you, not your father, not a woman, not a lucky break, not the right opportunity showing up at the right time, not the universe finally deciding it is your turn. Nobody, and the sooner that lands in your chest like the truth it is, the sooner everything in your life begins to shift. Because here is what I have noticed about men who are struggling. Not financially struggling, not career struggling. I mean men who are struggling inside. Men who wake up every morning with a quiet feeling that something is off, that they are not quite where they are supposed to be, that the life they are living does not match the life they know they are capable of. Those men are not lacking talent. They are not lacking intelligence. They are not lacking opportunity. What they are lacking is a standard, a personal code, a set of unbreakable rules that govern how they move, how they speak, what they accept, what they refuse, who they allow close, and who they walk away from without looking back. Most men were never given that code. They were handed opinions instead of principles. They were handed examples of what not to do, but never shown clearly what to do instead. They watched the men around them chase, beg, perform, tolerate, shrink, and because that is all they saw, that is all they knew. We live in a world that teaches men the wrong things. It teaches them that value comes from money, from status, from how many people are watching, from how loud you are, from how much you own, from who wants you. And so men spend their entire lives performing, chasing, begging, competing, shrinking, proving, and they wonder why they feel empty. I am going to tell you what is missing today. It is not more money. It is not a better woman. It is not a bigger audience. What is missing is a code, a set of rules that a man lives by, not because someone is watching, but because of who he has decided to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Most men are not dead, but most men are not fully living either. They are somewhere in between, going through the motions, waiting for something to change, waiting for someone to save them. Today is that moment, not next Monday, not when things calm down, right now. If this is the video you needed to hear today, comment the word ready. 1. A man who knows his worth never chases what should come willingly. Never beg for love. Say those 4 words slowly to yourself, because I want you to understand something about begging that nobody talks about. Begging is not just something you do with your mouth. It is something you do with your energy, with your time, with your presence, with the 1,000 small ways you make yourself smaller, hoping someone will finally choose you. It is the text you send at midnight after she has not responded all day. It is the apology you give for things that were not your fault. It is the way you change your plans, your opinions, your personality, quietly, gradually, without even realizing it, trying to become whoever you think she needs you to be so she will stay. And here is the devastating truth about all of that. It never works. Not because love is cruel, but because attraction does not respond to desperation. It never has. It never will. Because something deep in us recognizes desperation. And desperation communicates one thing louder than anything else you could ever say: I do not believe I am enough. And if you do not believe you are enough, why would anyone else? A man who knows his worth does not chase. Not because he is cold, not because he does not care, but because he understands that love which must be begged for is not love. It is performance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." Love is not worth your self-respect. No relationship is worth the loss of your dignity. And the painful irony is this: the moment you stop begging, the moment you stand up straight and decide that you are enough whether she stays or goes, that is the moment you become genuinely attractive. If you are done shrinking yourself for people who never deserved your full size, comment, "I know my worth." 2. Wealth is quiet. Desperation is loud. Never overspend just to impress. Two men walk into a restaurant. The first man orders the most expensive thing on the menu. He makes sure everyone at the table sees the price. He talks about his car in the parking lot, his watch on his wrist, the trip he's about to take, the deal he just closed. He pays the bill loudly. He wants everyone to know. The second man sits down quietly. He orders what he wants. He listens more than he speaks. He does not mention what he owns. He does not perform his success. He simply is. Which man do you respect more? Which man actually has power? The man who is genuinely wealthy, financially wealthy, mentally wealthy, truly secure in himself, does not need you to know it. He already knows it. And that knowing, that deep, settled confidence that does not require anyone else's validation, is the most attractive and powerful thing a man can carry. The man who is insecure, performing, spending money he does not have on things he does not need to impress people who do not care, that man is advertising his emptiness. Approval bought with money is not respect. It is rent. It expires the moment you stop paying. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A man who needs others to see his success in order to feel successful is a man who is not yet successful. Because real success is internal. Real wealth is peace. Real power does not need a stage. A high-value man builds. He does not perform. He saves. He invests. He thinks long-term. He is not interested in looking rich. He is interested in being free. And financial freedom, the ability to make choices based on what you want rather than what you can afford, that is one of the most powerful things a man can possess. If you are building real wealth instead of performing fake wealth, comment, "I build in silence." 3. The moment you tolerate disrespect once, it becomes a pattern. Zero tolerance. This one is not comfortable, but it is necessary. Because most men, good men, kind men, men who genuinely care about the people around them, have at some point in their lives allowed someone to disrespect them and told themselves it was okay. They told themselves she was having a bad day, or he did not mean it like that, or it is not a big deal, or maybe I deserve it. And so they absorbed it. They swallowed it quietly and went on as if nothing had happened. And the other person noticed. Not always consciously, not always deliberately, but they noticed. They learned that this man has no line. They learned that disrespect has no consequences here, and so it happened again. A little worse, a little more comfortable, a little more entitled. Because that is how disrespect works. It is never satisfied. You do not tolerate it once, and it respects your patience. You tolerate it once, and it takes that as permission. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Zero tolerance does not mean aggression. It does not mean explosions of anger. It does not mean drama. It means calm, clear, unmoving boundaries. It means saying once, quietly and with complete certainty, "That is not how you speak to me." And then following through, not with threats, not with punishment, but with consequence. Because a man who says something and means it, a man whose words are backed by consistent action, that man is respected, even by people who tested him. If you are done accepting less than you deserve, comment, "Standards up." 4. A man never begs. He opens the door and keeps walking. If she wants to leave, let her go. This might be the most painful one, so I need you to stay with me. I am not talking about being heartless. I am not talking about pretending you do not feel things. I am not telling you that love does not hurt when it walks out the door. It does. Anyone who tells you it does not is lying. Love leaving hurts. It is supposed to hurt. That is how you know it was real. But there is a difference between feeling the pain of loss and begging someone to stay who has already decided to leave. There is a difference between grieving something real and destroying your own dignity, chasing someone who is already gone. When you beg, you plead, you call repeatedly, you show up uninvited, you bargain with your own self-respect. You are not fighting for love. You are fighting against the truth. You cannot love someone into choosing you. You cannot beg someone into genuine desire. And even if the begging worked, even if she stayed, what have you won? A woman who stayed because you broke down completely? A relationship built on your desperation rather than her genuine choice? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." A high-value man feels the pain. He allows himself to feel it fully. He does not perform Stoicism, he does not feel. But he does not beg, he does not chase. He opens the door, he wishes her well in his heart, and he keeps walking. The right love will not require you to lose yourself to keep it. Remember that. If you know your worth is not determined by who stays, comments, I let go with dignity. 5. A peaceful life is worth more than any game. Stay away from manipulators. Let me describe someone you might recognize. Everything is always about them. Every conversation finds its way back to their feelings, their problems, their needs. When something goes wrong, it is never their fault. When something goes right, they made it happen. They make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They make you feel selfish for having needs. They make you feel crazy for noticing what you are noticing. They twist your words. They rewrite history. They use your love like a tool, your loyalty like a leash. This is manipulation, and it is one of the most energy-draining, soul-depleting, life-stealing things a man can allow into his world. Here is what manipulation actually costs you. It costs you clarity. When someone is constantly reframing reality, you lose trust in your own perception. And a man who cannot trust his own perception cannot make good decisions. It costs you peace. You are always on edge, always calculating how to say things so they will not be twisted, always managing someone else's emotions at the expense of your own. It costs you time. The hours spent replaying conversations, trying to figure out what you did wrong, those hours are gone. You will never get them back. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." A high-value man guards his peace the way a soldier guards a fort, not with paranoia, but with discernment. With the ability to recognize a pattern early, name it clearly, and remove it from his life without guilt and without drama. Your peace is not a luxury, it is the foundation everything else is built on. If you are choosing peace over chaos starting today, comment, "Peace is power." 6. Self-respect means closing doors that hurt you. Never go back to someone who replaced you. This is the one that requires the most honesty. Because going back is easy to rationalize. The mind is very creative when it wants something. You tell yourself she has changed. You tell yourself the timing was wrong before. You tell yourself that what you had was special, that nobody else will understand you the way she did. And maybe some of those things are true, but here is the question you need to sit with before you go back. Did she replace you? Not, did she move on eventually? People move on. That is human and healthy. But did she make you feel like you were competing? Did she come back because she genuinely chose you, or because she had nowhere else to go? Because those are two completely different things. A man who accepts return without requiring genuine accountability and genuine change is not protecting his heart. He is recycling his pain. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." A high-value man does not go back to closed chapters. Not out of pride, not out of coldness, but out of wisdom. There is someone ahead of you who will choose you completely, who will not make you compete, who will not make you wonder where you stand. But you cannot meet her if you keep walking back through the old door. If you are closing old doors and walking towards something better, comment, closed chapter. 7. The high-value man solves problems. He does not wait for rescue. Stop waiting for saviors. Let me say something that might land hard. Nobody is coming, not to save you, not to fix your situation, not to hand you the life you want, not your parents, not the government, not a woman, not a mentor who appears at exactly the right moment, not a lucky break, not fate. Nobody is coming. And the sooner you accept that completely, not with despair, but with power, the sooner your life begins to actually change. Because here is what waiting for a savior does to a man. It keeps him passive. It keeps him in a position of helplessness. It keeps him looking outward for solutions to problems that can only be solved from within. And every day spent waiting is a day not spent building. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A high-value man looks at his problems and asks one question: what can I do? Not who will help me, not why is this happening to me, not when will things get easier. What can I do today with what I have right now? And then he does it, not perfectly, not without fear, not always successfully, but he moves. Because movement is the only currency that actually buys change. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you enough to get you started. Believe in yourself. Start with what you have. Build from where you are. That is how ordinary men become extraordinary ones, not through rescue, through relentless personal responsibility. If you are done waiting and ready to build, comment, "I am my own rescue." 8. If she makes you compete, she has already chosen someone else. Never compete for love. Love is not a competition, and any relationship that requires you to compete for it, any relationship where you are constantly trying to prove yourself worthy, where you are always measuring yourself against another man, where your position feels uncertain no matter how much you give, that is not love. That is a power dynamic dressed up as love. A high-value man does not participate in that dynamic. Not because he is afraid to compete in life. A high-value man competes fiercely in his work, in his growth, in his craft, in every area where competition makes him better. But love is not one of those areas. When a woman is truly in love with you, when she has genuinely chosen you, you do not feel like you are competing. You feel chosen. You feel secure. Not because you are naive, but because her actions match her words, consistently, without you having to perform or prove or fight for your place. But when a woman uses jealousy as a tool, when she keeps other options visible on purpose, when she makes you feel like you are always one wrong move away from being replaced, she is not testing your love. She is revealing her character. Epictetus wrote, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are." See the situation as it actually is, not as you wish it were, not as it could be if she changed. And if what it actually is a competition you did not sign up for, walk away, not in anger, in clarity. If you refuse to compete for love because you know your worth, comment, "I am already chosen." 9. Build your own. Rely on no one. Be independent. Independence is not about isolation. Let me be very clear about that. A high-value man is not a man who needs no one. He is a man who needs no one to do for him what he can do for himself. He is a man who chooses his relationships from a place of wholeness, not desperation. who gives from abundance, not from debt, who loves from strength, not from fear of being alone. Because when you are dependent on someone else for your financial survival, your emotional stability, your sense of identity, your daily happiness, you give them enormous power over your life. And most people, even good people, even people who love you genuinely, will eventually misuse that power. But when you are independent, when you have built your own income, your own space, your own emotional foundation, your own sense of who you are outside of any relationship, when you know that if everything external disappeared tomorrow, you would still be okay, that knowing changes everything. It changes how you walk into a room, how you speak, how you make decisions, what you accept and what you refuse. It changes your relationships from survival mechanisms into genuine choices. Marcus Aurelius said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Build your skills, build your income streams, build your emotional resilience, build your physical strength, build your network of genuine brotherhood, build your own vision of the life you want, and then pursue it with everything you have. No one else can live your purpose. That is yours. Build it." If you are committed to building your own life on your own terms, comment, "I build my own." 10. Anything that disturbs your peace steals your power. If it does not give you peace, let it go. We have arrived at the final commandment, and this one sits above all the others, because peace is not just a feeling, it is a resource. It is the foundation on which everything else in your life is built. Your clarity comes from peace. Your best decisions come from peace. Your deepest creativity comes from peace. Your strongest relationships come from peace. Your most powerful work comes from peace. And anything that consistently steals your peace, any relationship, any habit, any environment, any thought pattern, any situation that you return to again and again and leave each time feeling more drained than before, that thing is not just uncomfortable, it is actively working against your potential. Think about the things in your life right now that disturb your peace. Not the difficult things, not the challenging things. Difficulty and challenge are part of growth. I mean the things that bring chaos without growth. The relationship where every interaction leaves you more confused and less yourself. The friendship built on competition rather than genuine support. The habit you return to that numbs the pain in the moment but increases it over time. The environment that shrinks you every time you enter it. The internal story you keep telling yourself about who you are, written by someone else's opinion of you years ago. Those things, let them go, not all at once, not in one dramatic moment, but one decision at a time, one boundary at a time, one honest conversation at a time, one quiet walk away at a time. Epictetus wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." A high-value man treats his peace the way a wealthy man treats his money. He does not give it to everything that asks for it. He invests it carefully in things that grow, in people who add, in environments that elevate, in thoughts that build rather than destroy. Guard your peace, because your peace is your power. A man operating from a place of genuine inner peace is one of the most powerful forces in any room. Not because he is loud, not because he is performing, but because he is settled, he is whole, he is complete. If you are choosing peace over everything that steals it, comment, "Peace over everything." The deeper truth. Let me step back for a moment. We have walked through 10 commandments today. 10 rules that separate men who are simply existing from men who are genuinely building, never begging for love, never performing wealth to impress others, Zero tolerance for disrespect, letting go without begging when someone chooses to leave, removing manipulators from your life without guilt, never returning to people who replaced you, solving your own problems without waiting for rescue, refusing to compete for love, building your own independence, and protecting your peace above everything else. Now I want to say something directly to you, because I know some of this landed hard. I know some of this felt like an indictment of choices you have made, patterns you have been in, moments you wish you could take back. And here is what I want you to hear. Those moments do not define you. They inform you. Every time you begged when you should have walked away, you learned something. Every time you tolerated disrespect when you should have set a boundary, you learned something. Every time you waited for someone else to save you, you learned something. The question is not whether you have made those mistakes. Every man has, every single one, including the men you admire most. The question is what you do with the lessons. Because this is the truth that sits beneath all 10 commandments. High value is not a destination. It is a daily practice. It is not something you arrive at and then keep automatically. It is something you choose every morning when you wake up. Every time a situation tests your standard, every time the easy thing and the right thing point in different directions. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in human history, still wrote to himself every single morning, reminders, standards, commands to be better, because he understood that high value is never finished. It is always being built. I want to talk to you directly now, not as a voice behind a script, just as one man to another. You came to this today for a reason. Maybe you are in a situation right now that is draining you, a relationship that is costing you more than it is giving, a pattern you keep repeating no matter how many times you tell yourself you will stop. A version of yourself you know exists but cannot quite seem to become consistently. Maybe you are tired, not just physically, but in the deeper way, the way that sleep does not fix, the way that comes from living below yourself for too long, from accepting less than you know you deserve, from performing strength you do not feel, from being everything to everyone and nothing to yourself. If any of that is true, then I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. You are not too old, too damaged, too behind, too much of anything. You are a man who has not yet fully decided who he is. And today can be the day that changes. Not because the circumstances change, not because the relationship suddenly gets easier, not because the money appears or the opportunity arrives or the perfect conditions finally align, but because you decide, quietly, in this moment, without an audience, without applause, without anyone to witness it but yourself. You decide that from this moment forward you live by a different standard. You decide that your worth is not negotiable. You decide that your peace is not optional. You decide that your dignity is not something anyone gets to purchase with attention or affection. You decide that you are the kind of man who builds, who solves, who moves forward, who feels the pain and keeps going anyway, who loves fully but never loses himself in love, who holds his standard even when it costs him, who guards his peace even when chaos is more familiar, who walks away from what diminishes him even when walking away is the hardest thing he has ever done. That man is already inside you. He has always been there. He is waiting for you to stop apologizing for him, to stop making yourself smaller so other people are more comfortable, to stop performing a version of yourself designed for someone else's approval, and to finally just be him, fully, unapologetically, consistently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The strength is already yours. The power is already yours. The man you are meant to be is already yours. You just have to choose him every day, starting today. The highest value is not what you own. It is not how many people follow you. It is not the car you drive or the watch on your wrist or the woman on your arm. The highest value is how you carry yourself when no one is watching. In the quiet, in the hard moments, in the moments when choosing yourself is the most difficult thing you could do. That is where character is built. That is where a man is made. And that man, built in silence, refined in difficulty, settled in his own worth, changes everything around him, without trying to, without performing, without noise, just by being completely and unapologetically himself. Go be that man. Your life is waiting for him. If you are ready to become the highest version of yourself starting today, comment, "I am that man."